this Mercury retrograde is very different than most retrogrades that are going on. So this energy, first of all, it's going to be stopping the all systems go energy with bringing this stuff back, right? When I say this stuff, I mean the feeling of the intense pull forward into the future. Now, this may mean that you're doing really deep work, or it may mean that a lot of things and changes are happening, or it could just mean that a lot of purging, a lot of clearing, a lot of changes are going on. Now, the changes are going to continue to happen, but they're just going to shift in a way, meaning that when Mercury goes retrograde, this is when we have to kind of really focus on slowing down our mind and really looking over all the details about our finances, about our technology, about our vehicles, about travel, and all these things. We have to sift through it with a fine-tooth comb and look over things 2 or 3 times because things can change. This is going to affect, like, for example, if you're looking to go like on a flight, right? You may look one day or even 1 hour and, for flights, and they're going to be one price. And then you look like 2 hours later and it's like half the price. But you got to make sure that you know exactly what you want, right? Because if you don't go through it with a fine-tooth comb, then you could see that you're going to get charged an extra $200 for, a carry-on luggage or something like that, right? Also with technology, especially with the solar eclipse and the Jupiter-Uranus conjunction happening, which is like engulfed in this bubble of energy of the Mercury retrograde. And this is all happening in Aries and Taurus. So collectively, this month of April, really, Mercury retrograde goes retrograde on April 1st, rabbit, right? April Fool's Day. What a day to initiate this massive level of change that's already super intense. And now it's just going to kind of swirl it up a little bit, right? And really, this time is all about learning to allow the intensity to move through you and not trying to control it, not trying to figure out, not getting carried away in these almost like funnels of energy that can really bring you down some rabbit holes. And so if you feel like you're being, like, I'm seeing a lot of people that are either manic, like really like, oh my God, I got to figure all this out. And then when you try to figure it all out, just more details come and you get overwhelmed and you get tired, or then you just lack sleep and then you beat yourself up. That's never a good thing, right? Sleep is very important. Balanced nutrition is very important. Exercise is important. Self-care right now is crazy important. Now, it always is, but right now in particular, it's testing our limits in many different ways, okay? But having this Mercury retrograde in Aries, going over the eclipse point, and then also coming back from 27 degrees of Aries back to 16 degrees, it's going to touch the North Node, which is fate, right? So when we have something like this going on, there's a lot of energy going on with the North Node. This is a massive, massive collective awakening with the combination of these energies that are showing us, hey, this is like a clear light at the end of the tunnel. This is the direction that our soul wants to go. And it's going to show us the contrast of wherever our mind and our ego are getting in the way. Basically, the old way that we were living is dead, done, over with. This month is when we shift into the new frequency and the new vibration. But also with Jupiter and Uranus coming conjunct in Taurus, that represents the physical body. So literally our identity and our body are getting jolted with all this new, fresh energy, along with the solar storms and the coronal mass ejections and whatever else is going on out there. Is overwhelming our senses. And if you've ever done any kind of deep healing work, like say with plant medicine, right? The purpose of that process is to overwhelm or override the self-limiting systems that have been in place to clear, to teach you to surrender, whether it's forcefully or otherwise, right? And different people need different approaches or perspectives to get to that level of surrender. So this is where the universe is really coming to a new level and showing us our truth. Now, are we willing to look at it? Well, this Mercury retrograde is going to say, well, if you try to avoid over here, it's going to come over here. And then if you try to avoid over there, it's going to come over here. If you try to avoid over here, it's going to come over. It's like no matter where you look, it's going to be staring at you in the face. So if you're trying to avoid the work in order to be able to grow, if you try to compensate, if you try to deviate, if you try to move away from it some way, shape, or form, it's just going to come at you faster and faster and faster, and things are not going to work out. This is like the whole earth is experiencing life as an empath now. And this eclipse season is bringing in this new major advancement or evolution of this feeling energy. Now, the feeling energy is embedded in our central nervous system, and that's getting an upgrade as well. That's why you might be finding yourself more sensitive to stimulants, more sensitive to foods, more sensitive to environmental pollutants and toxins, more sensitive to people around you. All right. The reason why this is happening is because we're getting more and more tapped in. We're opening our heart, whether you realize it or not, and we're getting more and more tapped into the environment around us and also what we consume. We live in a society that is literally made addiction the norm, right? So we're overly consuming, and that overconsumption is limiting our ability to create and produce. Now, when you have too much consumption, not enough production, that is when the outside forces try to come in and say, hey, we want to control you. We're going to give you all this so you can keep consuming, and you're going to own nothing and like it, right? I say, fuck that. I say, I don't think so. I say that I am willing to step into my creative potential and my self-love so that I don't negate the potential that I have to be a positive force in this world. And I hope you do too. What's up, guys? My name is Biowzrd, and I am the spiritual bodybuilder. And my philosophy on life is really about digging deep and treating everything like a meditation. And I read energy. Astrology is one of my means of reading energy, but I also do it through live and dry blood cell analysis. I do it through training, postural alignment, and assessment. And at this point, just intuitive. I can read people very well. And so if you'd like to work with me, get some coaching or get an astrology reading or anything else, please just go ahead and go down to the description box below. All the information is in there. And please like, share, and subscribe. And go follow me on Instagram because I post a bunch of other stuff on there too. But let's get back to the astrology of the Mercury retrograde. So we're starting the Mercury retrograde on April 1st. Rabbit, let's go, let's get it. And now we're having other very significant aspects going on here during this 3-week period. Mercury only goes retrograde for 3 weeks. Then once Mercury goes direct, we're going to have about a week and a half time frame where we're going to have all planets direct again until Pluto goes retrograde on May 2nd. But with that being said, when Pluto slows down and go retrograde, the energy of the Pluto gets very, very strong. All right, so we're already living in a very Plutonian and Uranian dominant energy because Pluto's in Aquarius. Now it's kind of carrying those two signature vibrations. So if you're looking for a feeling of safety out in the world, it ain't going to come. The feeling of safety have to come from within. And that feeling of safety coming within is by connecting to your heart. So all the work that we're doing right now on ourselves is getting connected to the heart. And when you do, you will become a magnet for abundance. You become a magnet for everything that you want in life, and you'll get clarity, because the clarity comes when you are in the present moment at peace with yourself and not trying to chase. That whole chase dynamic, it's just not going to work anymore, guys. So as we're stepping into this Mercury retrograde at 27 degrees, all right, we have the sun at 13 degrees, North Node 15, Chiron at 19, which is at the degree where the eclipse is going to happen. Now, 19 degrees of Aries is also where the sun is exalted. So when the sun, that's the 1 degree in the entire zodiac that the sun is like, yes, I'm me. I know who I am. When it's exactly conjunct Chiron, that means like, holy shit, I see my deepest wound. I can feel my deepest wound. And this is also feeling the collective wound of the United States. This is where we're going to see people start to really gain a certain sense of ownership, a desire for ownership over their sovereignty, over their life, over who they want to be, over living their best version of themselves. And this is where the soul strength, is going to get either very big or it's going to get overwhelmed. And if you're not willing to do the soul work, a lot of people are going to be choosing to leave the earth around this time. This is the beginning of a 6 months period that is going to get gnarly and wild, okay? With also a lot of misdirection, with a lot of disinformation. So be mindful about what you're consuming, because it's really going to be really easy to get caught up in the tumbling of these energies that pull you away from your heart center. a lot of distractions. Okay, if you're mindlessly scrolling on your phone, if you're watching too much TV, if you're just like distracting yourself because you don't want to face your reality, that's going to become a problem here in the next 6 months. So the solution to that, being present and staying intentional about everything that you do. Very, very simple. Now we have Venus conjunct Neptune here coming up at 27 degrees, which is very powerful and very positive. Okay, there's a very positive aspect. Venus is exalted in Pisces. So Venus is like, this is what I want. This is what I want to feel. And Neptune is higher vibration. It's like I can visualize, I can picture what I want. Now the trick is going to be, do I believe that I deserve it? And the Jupiter conjunct Uranus coming together is like saying, hey, these are the things that are in your life that make you feel like you don't deserve it. And this is what you have to face. And when it comes into its one and only conjunction, this is going to be like, bam, it's going to blast us in our central nervous system with a massive reality check. Not only that, but we have Saturn and Mars coming to conjunct here. It's going to be pretty much, we're going to be feeling this most of the month. I mean, all these energies really, right? Venus is moving pretty fast. By the 3rd, we have Venus already at 28 degrees, Saturn at 13 degrees, Mars at 9 degrees here. So when it does reach that 13, 14, 15 degree mark, Mars is the ruler of Aries, right? So all this Aries energy is getting enhanced with Mars and Pisces. But Mars and Pisces, Mars isn't the most comfortable in Pisces, but the way I see this is like Mars is like a spiritual warrior. If you're willing to do the work, Mars is like, let's go deep, let's go get in there, let's figure it out, right? It's like maybe you were planning, on going to a nightclub, and this plan ends up being like a sound bath, right? Are you willing to accept the sound bath, and are you going to settle into it and open yourself up to the potential of what that unexpected process can give to you? And Saturn, of course, the Lord of Karma. What are you learning from this? Now, in the lower vibration of this is very warlike. This can be very angry, a lot of frustration, a lot of irritability, a lot of like, I'm not feeling right in my life and I don't know what to do, so I'm going to lash out and project and trigger, and I just like, things are unfair and I need to go out and be righteous. Now, righteousness, as long as the higher vibration, meaning getting out there and being determined to help people, determined to create a better world, determined to heal Pachamama, heal the earth. That is the higher vibration of this potential. The lower vibration is, fuck you, you did this to me, I'm going to destroy you. And we don't want any of that, right? So on April 3rd, we have also Neptune and Venus at 28 degrees, which is now an anorectic degree. So this is very, very deep, very powerful. This is where we're going to be very susceptible to external influence. So sitting with yourself and really getting clear on, what to manifest. If things are going right, if things are falling off and going wrong, that, you have to tend to the details, because Mercury demands that you look at the details to be able to figure things out. But remember that when you're figuring things out, this is going to be triggering your central nervous system. This is going to be triggering possible self-worth issues and ideas. So if you have self-worth issues, this could be like, you have to go over all the details. Every detail is like, is this person going to fuck me? Or is this going to drain my bank account? Or am I really capable of doing this? Or can I do that? Right? And you have to slow yourself down. Right? Because this is really, especially with the sun coming into the North Node, and with Chiron very close to there, this is the wound. This is the deep wound. This is the anger. This is the frustration that's either geared at self or outside. It depends on, many narcissists are going to be really projecting their anger out there into the world. Okay. And many empaths are going to be feeling all the heat, all the anger. And they're going to be, some people project it inside, right? Get angry at themselves and start self-sabotaging. We don't want any of that. There's a high potential here for like addiction, overdoses, potential suicides, even homicides, people trying to get in a very scarce mentality if they're not dealing with their own personal self-worth issues. And that's just going to require some very uncomfortable stuff. But if you've been doing the work and you're kind of used to the uncomfortableness, right? When you fully allow the uncomfortableness to just be okay, then, good things will really happen. So again, here now, Jupiter is up to 18 degrees. We have the sun exactly conjunct the North Node at 15 degrees. Now, 15 degrees is the exact halfway point between Aries. So you see we have 4 planets in Pisces. We have, well, 1, 2, 3 planets, 2 aspects in Aries. And then, of course, the 2 major aspects in Taurus. So this is a rebirth for the collective. This is everybody. There's a lot of concentrated energy. So it's like you're not going to get away from this. Even if you try to do something else, or you try to focus on other stuff, or even try to be balanced right now, it's going to be very difficult. It is kind of like a requirement right now to face these feelings. And as we face these feelings, it's helping us break down this sort of knotted up ball of yarn of who am I? So a lot of this stuff that has to do with the things that are not working out ultimately or optimally in our lives, it's coming down to like any deeply embedded shame, because shame is like, I am bad. Guilt is, I did something bad. But when we believe that we are bad, that's when it gets ingrained in our identity. So there's be a lot of shame coming up out of this. And shame is the lowest vibration you can get. So this is why it's a massive, massive purge for a lot of people. Make sure that if you don't have a safe space to physically go or feel like you have a safe space to be able to purge or do your inner work, find that, or go to the beach or go somewhere out in nature, be alone if you have nowhere that you can go, because that's going to be really important. Okay, now, of course, we're coming up to the solar eclipse, and as we do, we have the moon now coming into Pisces, where Mars is at 10 degrees, Saturn is 14. Now we have Venus on the 5th coming into 0 degrees of Aries. So now we have 1 Hygeia, North Node, Sun, Chiron, Eris, and Mercury all in Aries. We're just getting, so the Pisces energy is like the final part of letting go, clearing out and letting go. Now, Saturn and Neptune, of course, will stay in Pisces. So there's still about another a year and a half, 2-year cycle where there's going to be a longer process of letting go. But we're kind of taking a layer and scooping out all this unconscious stuff, all this stuff that we're ready to let go of. Well, even if you're not ready, this is more of the unconscious mind collectively. So we're scooping out all this crap and clearing it out. Now now that Venus is in Aries, it's like, okay, I'm ready to let go of, the things that I don't want. And now I'm ready to receive what I do want. But it can be a little bit like uppity, like, okay, I want it now, and let's get it. Let's, so you're going to have to temper that, of course, with Mercury retrograde, because Mercury retrograde is like saying, all right, I know you want it. I know you wanted it for a while. You got to be patient. You got to slow down. And with the moon now, that's going to be conjuncting on April 6th, Mars and Saturn. This is activating this emotional frustration. This is getting ready to bring all this stuff up for this eclipse. And really, with Neptune now being at 28 degrees, we haven't seen this yet. Okay, and Neptune's going to come to 29 degrees and stay there for about 6 months this year. So now we're kind of pinging in this like reality where we feel like, what is reality at this point, right? It's going to feel very weird. You're going to see a lot of religious stuff out there. More people like schizophrenics are going to be going more schizophrenic, right? Any kind of mental illnesses. Like I'm seeing kids walking around like cats around in Florida. Like, what the hell's going on? Mental illness is taking on a whole new level, and it's going to continue to come out. Like, people are going to be coming out more and more expressing these mental imbalances. That is kind of becoming normalized, and that's really sad and scary. I really want to help these people, but but when people are ready to grow and to clear and to learn and to fully process, then that's going to be their time. And there's no judgment here. Okay, like, if that's what someone chooses to do or chooses to be, but that is an identity crisis, 100%. A human being is a human being. If you believe that you're a different species, that is a delusion. You're not a cat, you're not a dog, you're not a horse, you are a human being, right? You're also not a human doing. And there's a lot of human doings out there. And that human doing shit ain't gonna last much longer either. So on the 7th, we have the moon now crossing over to Neptune, coming up over into Venus, and kind of picking up the energy of these planets. And of course, Neptune is like a more metaphysical, multidimensional energy. So this could be like, you know, activating a what if, like what is my reality? What do I want my reality to look like? Coming over Venus, like how do I receive, or how do I create, or what do I have to do or be to be able to bring this next level reality in? And then finally, the answers are going to start to come here on the 8th, when we have the moon's going to cross over the North Node, of course, communicating with the North Node. And, you know, Mercury is now at 24 degrees. And now these energies are quickly coming together like this. So as Mercury comes back, all right, and communicates with the moon will go over Mercury by April 9th. So literally within less than 24 hours after this total solar eclipse, the moon is going to cross over Mercury. Now, that is like adding in all these new downloads, all these new pieces to the puzzle, but it's like a puzzle that just got thrown on the floor. Okay, now what do we do with it all? Holy crap. And over this next 3 weeks, but 2 weeks now, is when we're going to put all the puzzle pieces together, look at them. Where does this go? Where does that go? Okay, this piece is going to go here. This is where we're going to put the puzzle pieces together. And then, of course, by the beginning of May is really when we're going to start to move forward. Now, there's been a lot of talk about May as well, about all these big things happening. I personally think April is going to be when I feel like the chrysalis is going to hatch. You know, when a caterpillar goes in the chrysalis to become a butterfly, we are going to hatch out of our chrysalis collectively to a new level, a new vibration by the end of April. And then May, it's like, oh shit, now we have wings. How do we use them? Right? Now I have these new gifts, these new layers of like, you know, gifts and feelings, and, you know, deeply more empathic, and I'm more sensitive. And now we have to learn how to work with them and understand how to process all these upgrades. All right. But there is definitely a deep level of letting go and purging while we're going through this learning process. So as we come to April 11th, we have the sun exactly conjuncting Mercury. Of course, for the second time, it already conjuncted first as Mercury is going past it in its shadow period, but it's at 22 degrees, which of course is a master number. All right. Now we also, at the same day of this happening, you know, Mars just passed over Saturn. So now Mars is beyond Saturn. So now we're starting a new Mars cycle, which is our divine masculine. We're cleansing a part of our divine masculine, and we're almost getting embedded with a new set of directions from the divine. All right. Now that you've leveled up, now that you're coming into this healthier version of this divine masculine now, and this divine masculine goes for men and women. All right. And with that, okay, it's not going to be fully integrated until Mars passes to Neptune, but at least now it's got the new karmic imprints from Saturn, and we've been doing the work. So this is like empathically or intuitively embedded within us. And now it's like, ooh, okay, now we have all these instructions and now like I'm kind of understanding, I'm getting clarity for where to go next. But wow, this is a big mission. This is a big next step. This is requiring more of me, more responsibility. Okay. And as that responsibility comes into play, you know, we're going to have to take our time and slowly mold into it. All right. So now sun's at 23 degrees. Jupiter is at 19 degrees by April 12th. All right. The Mars is now separating from Saturn. Now we're like birthing this new version of that divine masculine, stepping out into the world, probably getting like a lot of new things coming in, magnetizing new opportunities and possibilities. Mercury at 21 degrees now on April 13th. Jupiter is now just 1 degree away from Uranus. So this energy is going to be, I feel like we're going to feel this solar eclipse energy sort of like it's gonna hit, and then it's gonna stay elevated for like a good 2 or 3 weeks. And as this 2 or 3 weeks is going on, we're getting downloads. We're needing to slow down. We're stepping into this responsibility. We're eating cleaner. We're exercising. We're getting enough sleep, right? And we're allowing ourselves to have solid boundaries. Whatever comes in, you know, if something doesn't feel right, all right, now it's time, because things are manifesting very, very quickly. Now we gotta like hold our boundaries right in that place. And if things are going sideways, it's time to address it at that time, not sit with it for a week or a month. All right. Like this is where the knowing is going to come so much faster. All right. So on April 15th, we will have Mercury now exactly conjunct Chiron. So this is going over and helping to understand and break down this deeper vulnerability within us and what this new emotional stuff has come up that we're now needing to integrate as a superpower. This is like integrating a new superpower, but when a superpower gets activated, if you watch any hero movie, right, this is the hero's journey. This is when, you know, if you think of the movie The Matrix, right, when Neo, towards the end of the movie, he's already gone through all this training, all these downloads, he's woken up through the pod, right, and towards the end of the original Matrix, he's fighting Mr. Smith, then he gets shot, right? Well, he was determined in that version of himself to go all in, right? He finally got to that point where I was like, fuck it, I don't know how, but I'm just going to try it. He was believing in himself. He started believing, but it wasn't a knowing yet. It wasn't a knowing yet until that old version of himself died. And what is it that brought him back to life? It was love. So that's a very powerful metaphor for love is what is healing our identity. So as our old ego is dying off here, there's a massive ego death, guys. And as that happens, we surrender, we fully surrender, right? That bullet that hit him, that could be people talking shit. It could be people disrespecting your boundaries. It could be your self-limiting beliefs about, you know, money, about love, about whatever it is that, you know, is limiting you from all the potential that you have. We're taking the potential and making it kinetic this month. And as we do, you know, then Neo gets up out of nowhere and now he's just like, I see everything different. He sees everything in ones and zeros, and now he's the one, right? Now he knows, now he has activated his God self, his full potential. And he, you know, squeezes and he can like bend space-time. And then he's just like, wow, okay, now I'm connected to the energy. I'm in heart, mind, coherence, alignment. Now I'm able to run in and go into these fucking guys and blast them open. You ain't got shit on me, and I'm going to rule this fucking place. This is what we're becoming, the ruler of our reality. All right. And certain people out there don't want that to happen, but this is where the natural evolution of the human being is going. And this is what the Mercury retrograde, it's a slow burn, right? But it is required to be able to integrate the emotional vulnerability to create the baby steps in the process to understand A, B, C, D, and E of how we step into this new version of ourselves. We are going from believing to knowing, from knowledge to wisdom, from 99% to the 100%, right? In some area of our life, wherever Chiron, wherever this solar eclipse is happening for you, as well as the Mercury retrograde, this is where it's going to be communicating to you. For me, this is between my 12th and first house, right? So, you know, clearing out some unconscious stuff, you know, self-imposed imprisonment, or, you know, even hidden enemies out there, and then creating literally a new identity, because first house is a house of identity, physical body, right? Stepping into my most empowered version. Yeah, baby. So, you know, Mercury is going to be sitting there with Chiron for a moment. Then it's going to go back over here to conjunct with Venus. Now, Venus is already coming up. It just passed the North Node. So now the North Node is communicating. We're seeing, all right, now that we just felt the deep feeling, now what do we do with that? Now what do we need to receive? What do we need to unlock? What do we need to shift to really step into that energy? And Mercury is coming to touch down with the North Node. And again, now Mars is in the third decan of Pisces, moving fairly quickly, getting ready to speak to Neptune, all right, to finish off this process with establishing this new divine masculine aspect of the self. But as we do that, now Chiron is at 20 degrees as Mercury. So Venus and Chiron will be exactly conjunct at 20 degrees here on April 21st. And April 21st is when the Jupiter-Uranus conjunction is happening. So now we have Mercury conjunct the North Node, communicating with the direction that our soul wants to go, but we've never been there. So there's the fear of the unknown that's going to be very potent. Our identity is like, whoa, we're going this way. These are the new things that are going to be happening in our life, or we have the potential to create them. What kind of fears are going to come up? What kind of, like, can I really do this? Am I really going to be able to, create this? And Uranus and Jupiter sitting there like, yeah, you do have the ability. You just have to let this energy clear out and move through you. Okay. And Venus conjunct Chiron is like, oh, but how do I receive it? I don't know how to. And then if you don't know, then let it go. If you don't know, let it go. That's because right now, Mars is kind of learning how to implement these new guidelines of the divine masculine, and Venus is feeling very wounded, like, okay, I got to step into this action, but oh my God, is it uncomfortable? And it's kind of like, during Tony Robbins events, we got to walk over the hot coals, right? You got to do some breath work. You got to prepare yourself. You got to do the inner work. You got to get your mind right and then step into it. You have to be fully present and fully put yourself through it. You can't just half-ass, la, 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 be like multitasking this month is going to be very difficult, if not impossible, because the energy is going to discourage that, because we try to multitask, we're going to miss things. And Mercury retrograde is saying, no, you need to focus on what's in front of you and you need to integrate this stuff. Okay. So let's see, on the 25th, Mercury goes direct, and on the day it goes direct, it just taps into the 15th degree. All right where the North Node is. Now we have Mars coming into its conjunction with Neptune, where it's going to clear that energy. We have the Sun now in Taurus with Uranus and Jupiter conjunct. Now this Uranus and Jupiter conjunction is going to last for about a week. All right, this is because they're both kind of slow moving planets. But now that's at this place, we are starting a new 14-year cycle. All right, which to me is exciting as hell. Now, normally planets like this, they'll conjunct and retrograde over each other and go over 3 times. We're only getting 1 here. So this is a grand master pow. All right. We could see earthquakes. We could see agricultural issues and, food chain issues and things like that coming up. And this is where it's going to be like, all right, we need to come together. This is community vibing. Like, let's put away our petty differences and all our distractions and come together and, start really creating this new world that we want to create, because, hey, we need each other. This is showing us how much we need each other. All right. And now that Mercury is direct, it's going to have to cross over Chiron again. And then by the time it's out of shadow, Venus will and the Sun will already be beyond it, but it will conjunct over them again. But really the shadow, we have April 28th. So towards the end of April, again, Mars conjunct Neptune. Now it is clearing out or finalizing the growth potential of this new divine masculine that we're integrating. And of course, coming into the next month on May 3rd, we will have Pluto going retrograde. So Pluto is going to be very, very potent when Neptune is conjunct Mars. And now, of course, we're having Mercury its final time going over Chiron, now at 21 degrees on May 7th, right when we're coming into the new moon in Taurus. That's going to be conjunct Uranus. So, and then soon after that, the moon and then the sun will conjunct Jupiter. So there is like a activation, purification, alignment, and then solidifying energy that's coming into the middle of May. And also during the 3rd week of April too, we're going to have a full moon in Scorpio. And that scorpionic energy is, of course, also just, Mars also is a co-ruler of Scorpio. So a lot of this new Mars energy is being birthed into our lives. And, a lot of this Venus energy is needing to be kind to ourselves while we're stepping out into the world to create in this new way. It can be as easy or as difficult as you choose to make it. But the point is that self-care, the inner work, and being around people that you can trust and feel safe with is going to trump anything else. Like all this hustle and bustle and trying to, do too much too fast. I'm an Aries rising. Sometimes I have a difficult time with that. This is why I exercise every day to make, because exercise is my meditation and it keeps me feeling, aligned as possible. But, don't get it twisted. Like, even though I'm able to read these energies and understand how to break it down, it doesn't mean it makes it easier for me. I just understand it, and the understanding allows me to be able to move through it with that understanding. I'm still human, and it keeps, like, it keeps me on my toes. But these energies are meant to keep us humble, because especially as a country, like, we need to be humble, right? And new leaders are going to be popping up, people like you and I, people that are actually concerned about the welfare of this world, of this country, of other people, not wanting to make people sick, or being greedy, or just trying to create win-lose competitive scenarios. We are now in a time of creation, and this month is fully moving into that foundational new vibration. We have been in a time of competition. And competition, it's like when we're in competition with other people in the world, that's in competition with ourselves. It doesn't work that way anymore, guys. Those waves are going to start to fall off and fail, because we just literally can't do it anymore. All right. So please leave a comment down below. Let me know how you're working with this energy. And let me know if you have any questions, and if you'd like a reading for me, or to work with me for coaching, or combo, or any other healing ceremonies. Please leave a comment below. Email me at the email listed below, and I will chat with you guys on the next video. Hope you have a beautiful Mercury retrograde. Aho.